Hare Krishna, welcome to our channel, Bhagavad-gita. Here it is, because we have it right here. Bhagavad-gita as it is. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and my name is Lavanga Latika. So we are reading from the 11th chapter, the Universal Form, and today I'm beginning from text 43.
Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalang.
And if you've been following us, you know that we have Arjuna speaking here. He has just seen, Krishna has just revealed to him this very special form, the Virat Rupa, the universal form, and Arjuna is duly impressed, and right now he's responding to that in the form of prayers. So yes, I am from Sweden, and I am of course conditioned by my background, and it is not a very religious background. And here in this chapter, Arjuna, he cannot help himself. He will speak about he will speak from the emotions that are inspired by this situation, by seeing Krishna's Virat Rupa. And that main emotion is awe and reverence, and he's overwhelmed, and he's expressing that. But that is not where Bhagavad Gita begins. Bhagavad Gita begins in chapter 2. That sounds odd. Chapter 1, of course, it begins in chapter 1, which is like an introduction. It puts us in the situation. But in chapter 2, Krishna very he responds to Arjuna's doubts, Arjuna's questions, not by saying, look it, we're on the battlefield. There's a battle going on and you're a warrior, so just get on with it. That's not at all what Krishna is saying. He's also not saying, I am God, and therefore you will do what I tell you. That is also not what Krishna is saying. He could say that. He doesn't say that. Instead, he puts things into perspective. He shows Arjuna by starting with the point that, who are you? You are not this body. You are not this warrior. You are not in this time and place. Well, you are here right now, but your actual identity is to be an eternal spirit soul, eternal servant of God in a spiritual, natural way. And also in the end, we haven't gotten there, but Krishna will also turn to Arjuna and say, now I have explained all these things to you. I have shown you all these truths. And now you decide. So Krishna is not at all coming on like, I'm God and just do what I tell you. But the intelligent devotee, hearing what Krishna is saying and understanding in that perspective, will draw those conclusions that I have this spiritual knowledge now and I will act in relation to that. But in this specific instance, Arjuna has been shown the universal form, which is like everything in the universe. It's a special form. It's not Krishna's personal, eternal, spiritual form, but it's a way of Krishna showing how everything in this universe belongs to him, is part of him. And Arjuna is responding to that. So I will read the text 43 here. I'm recording from home, and it's a little primitive, but I hope it works out, because these are the times, right? Text 43. Pitasi lokasya characharasya tvamasya pujascha gurur gariyan natvat samostya bhyadhika kutonyo lokatrayepya pratima prabhava. You are the father of the complete cosmic manifestation of the moving and the non-moving. You are its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is equal to you, nor can anyone be one with you. How then could there be anyone greater than you within the three worlds, O Lord of immeasurable power? So that is the natural response to what Arjuna is seeing right now. So this is one aspect of Bhagavad Gita. We understand who we are, but we also understand who Krishna is. Because without that understanding, it doesn't become a complete understanding. And without having a complete understanding, we cannot make complete, free decisions and choices in life. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is worshipable as a father is worshipable for his son. He is the spiritual master because he originally gave the Vedic instructions to Brahma, and presently he is also instructing Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Therefore, He's the original spiritual master. And any bona fide spiritual master at the present moment must be a descendant in the line of disciplic succession stemming from Krishna. Without being a representative of Krishna, one cannot become a teacher or spiritual master of transcendental subject matter. Yes, so that is the natural conclusion to draw. And that is also something we're not entirely familiar with. We don't look at the world at who is the authority, who is bona fide, who is authorized, because we have this way of moving in this world more on a intuition or desire, or how to say, learning as we go. And we can do that, of course, but at this point we have come to the understanding that we've been wandering in this material world since time immemorial, body after body, life after life, and we've been trying so many things, and we can find so many things, we can do so many things, but what we cannot find is the door out of this existence, which sounds a little drastic. Of course, there's no door as such, and in one sense it's not a way out of the existence, but it's a way of entering into the complete existence, in the awareness both of the material aspects, the ones we can see here and now, but also how they connect to Krishna, and also seeing things in a spiritual perspective. And that knowledge, that process, we can get from a person who is representing the person from whom it all came, namely Krishna. And it's good and important to know that. The Lord is being paid obeisances in all respects. He is of immeasurable greatness. No one can be greater than the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, because no one is equal to or higher than Krishna within any manifestation, spiritual or material. Everyone is below him. No one can excel him. This is stated in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Natasya karyang karanang vidyate, natat samaschad hadikaschadrishyate. A Supreme Lord, Krishna, has senses and a body like the ordinary man, but for him there is no difference between his senses, his body, his mind and himself. Foolish persons who do not perfectly know him say that the Krishna is different from his soul, mind, heart and everything else. Krishna is absolute, therefore his activities and potencies are supreme. It is also stated that although he does not have senses like ours, he can perform all sensory activities. Therefore his senses are neither imperfect nor limited. No one can be greater than him, no one can be equal to him, and everyone is lower than him. So, yes, the ultimate goal of bhakti is not simply to obey God because he's bigger than us. It is to actually connect to him in a personal relationship. But in order to do that, we also need to understand this aspect of God, the God aspect of God. He's a person, but he's also God. So all the powers, all the energies, everything comes from him. And he's the only one in that position, really. And that may be a little scary in a sense. And that is kind of culturally how we have been dealing with it. We didn't like the idea of this powerful God. So we kind of decided that he wasn't very important, and gradually he's been moved out of he's been moved to the side. Some people can be religious and believe in God if they want to, but it's not the main thing. But actually, Krishna is the main thing in as much as he's the center of everything and everything rests on him. And by practicing spiritual self-realization, we will realize our spiritual nature, but that relationship, that nature will always be related to Krishna, to God. And who is he? He's so many things, but one aspect of him is that he's actually God. The knowledge, strength and activities of the Supreme Personality are all transcendental, as stated in Bhagavad-gita 4.9. Janma karma chame divyam evang yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva dehang punarjanma naiti mamiti soryuna. Whoever knows Krishna's transcendental body, activities and perfection after quitting his body returns to him and does not come back again to this miserable world. And we don't like that. this world. We don't want to see it as miserable. We want to see all the beauty, and we want to go out and watch the sun rise and hear the birds chirp. And then we turn around and we see all the problems, and then we're saying it can't be a God, because why wouldn't he fix the problems? And that is a kind of ignorance, because one aspect of self-realization is actually one aspect of knowledge is humility. Another aspect of knowledge is seeing janma karma chame divyam dukkha doshana darshanaha, the suffering caused by birth, death, old age and disease. And at this point I think nobody can be unaware of the fact that disease is spreading in this world and people are dying. And then of course we don't want to be callous to the personal aspect of this, that we see maybe somebody we know, or we maybe have a fear ourselves that we are vulnerable to this disease, and then we don't want to come in and say, well, birth, death, old age and disease, you are not this body. Just be spiritual instead. No, of course we can see this situation and empathize with it and even identify with it, because we live in this world. We all live in this world in different bodies, and we are affected by this situation. But in one sense, there is always the only absolute fact of living in this world is the fact that we are going to also die in this world. This body will die at one point. So as much as we are paying attention and taking to heart the information given on how to behave in this particular situation, it's also important to take to heart that never mind the situation, any situation in this life will lead to that point of death, and also prepare for that, or rather not necessarily getting into this doomsday sense that, you know, the end is near and repent and get out of here, but actually living in this world, living in this life. We may be, you know, someone is young, has a lot of life ahead of them, someone is old, may not have so many years in front of us. But Krishna consciousness is not just a question of preparing for dying in the best possible way. It's actually a question of living in the best possible way, in awareness of one's spiritual identity and connecting to Krishna here and now. And there is also the eternal aspect, because we will give up this body. And if we give up this body, just like we were hearing here, whoever knows Krishna's transcendental body's activities and perfection, after quitting his body, he returns to him and doesn't come back to this miserable world. So that is actually a solution that sounds a little simplistic. Just knowing Krishna. But it is not so easy to know Krishna. But at least the first step we can do is take this knowledge, apply it and practice it, and then at the time of death we can know from the words and letters in the Bhagavad-gita Krishna's position, but by also applying this bhakti yoga process we can have quite a high level of realization. Prabhupada is even guaranteeing that if we can live our whole life chanting Krishna's name, 16 rounds on our beads, which means one round is 108 mantras. One mantra is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. 16 words and 16 mantras, like 16 rounds like that, and also following our regulative principles that Krishna is recommending, and that helps us to stay aloof from this material entanglement, really, which means we don't take drugs. That clouds our consciousness even more than before. We don't need that. And drugs, we go all the way down to coffee and cigarettes. We avoid all of that. No gambling, which, yeah, I don't see how that is very difficult, but for some people it may be very difficult. That is also a way of not believing. Well, gambling is a strange thing, actually. It's you want to get something for nothing, and you kind of build up a little bit of an illusion of what can happen in this world. And the fact in this world is we can not get more than is within our karma. And it is better to get it through honest work, because that is, that's the honest way to go about it. And that's something we can offer back to Krishna. No meat eating, meat, fish and eggs we don't eat, because that destroys the finer sentiments of a person, compassion, which is quite important. We don't just want to be pure and liberated. We want to develop love for Krishna, and that comes from a soft heart. And if we are just concerned with our own purity and liberation, without being able to extend that compassion in this world to others around us, we will not go very far in our spiritual realization. And then we have the principle of no illicit sex, which means we limit our sexual activities to those that are within marriage for the purpose of having children. And I know that that is the principle that can be the most difficult to grasp. So if one is not at the point of being very decided, at full surrender, maybe that's not where you start. But it's also a point to help us get out of the, of the strong identification with this body, with this bodily platform, with this material life. It is actually very helpful. But it's not something that can be forced. But we can definitely be vegetarians, and we can definitely avoid gambling. And drugs, I think we can mostly give that up also. And then gradually, by practicing Krishna consciousness, the fourth regulative principle will also come to seem natural and actually helpful in our spiritual development. Therefore, one should know that Krishna's activities are different from others. The best policy is to follow the principles of Krishna. That will make one perfect. It is also, so that's where I started. Prabhupada is actually giving that guarantee. If in this life we can take shelter of a spiritual master, a representative of Krishna, and follow the four regulative principles and chant 16 rounds a day, then we are actually guaranteed to get out of this world, which is an enormous level of achievement for something that, in a sense, it is a big step, because it means we give up that focus. We don't live in this world for trying to find as much enjoyment as possible, but we live in this world in order to please Krishna out of love. So that is a big step, but it's not very difficult. It is not impossible. It's certainly within our capability, and to be able to have a path of spiritual realization that doesn't demand something that is not within our reach. It is actually quite fantastic. It is also stated that there is no one who is master of Krishna. Everyone is his servant. The Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is a wonderful book, it is the description of Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, who appeared in this world 500 years ago. Maybe it would be 534 years by now, something like that. And he established this process of the easy access to Krishna in the form of his holy name, and he was also the practice to be very generous and open and giving it out without much hesitation to more or less everybody. So that's the book about his life and his philosophy. He confirms Ekale Ishvara Krishna Arasabha Vritya. Only Krishna is God and everyone else is his servant. Everyone is complying with his order. There is no one who can deny his order. Everyone is acting according to his direction, being under his superintendence. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, he is the cause of all causes. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. So everything has a cause, and if we look what's behind that cause, and then we look what's behind that cause, ultimately we will come to Krishna. So actually that's Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada coined the term Krishna consciousness And then some people said, why not God consciousness? Well, yeah, Krishna consciousness is God consciousness, but we are introduced to Krishna personally. It's not just a vague principle or idea about God, but God is an actual person, and his name, he has many names, he has unlimited names, but his main name is Krishna. And we can get to know him, and we can come closer to him. And in that process, we will also realize ourselves, and we will also be able to be completely liberated from this birth, death, old age, and disease. So yes, that's what we are offered. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.